Hello, I'm Amanda from 3and3quarters, and today I thought I would show you a tour of my sewing room. This space is pretty much where I spend most of the days when I'm at home. This is where I sew, it's where I write, I blog, it's where I film my videos, where I edit my videos and network on my computer. So I thought I would show you around. Throughout this tour I will be showing you different projects that you have seen before through videos that I've posted. So I've got little links to them as we go through and you can watch them if you haven't seen them. I apologise in advance for any out of focus shots, any shaky shots. I am not a professional, I am just an amateur. So hopefully you get the idea of what's going on here. Yeah. Yay. Okay, starting with the door, this is the embroidery I specially made for the door to my sewing room. The frame is a frame that I found in our cupboard that was not being used, so I found an embroidery that fit that shape and went for it. Underneath this embroidery I have my awesome Make Do and Mend poster that I got in Frankie magazine a couple of years ago. Coming around from the door is my shelf of books and fabrics, and we're going to have a closer look at those now. So on the back of my door I've got all my embroidery hoops there, and I've got a nice display of some framed things I have here. This first frame is a print that I brought from Made It. Made It is like an Australian version of Etsy. Up here is my embroidered monogram. I made this a couple of years ago on some grey linen and did lots of tiny little stitches to make it look like that. This here is just an Instagram picture that I took of my tape measure, and I think it looked really good, and so I printed it out and framed it. So moving on down from the frames, this is where I keep all of my buttons. I've got about 4 jars full, and here's my bookshelf. I thought here we might have a closer look at some of my quilting books. I've got all of my Kath Kidston books here. As you would know, Kath Kidston is one of my favourite designers. I've got lots of modern quilting books, as well as one of my favourites, which is 130 mini quilt blocks, which you might have seen on my blog. Down here on the second shelf we've got some more quilting books, such as this one. This is actually the first quilting book I ever received. I got it from one of my beautiful friends, Sam, and I made my first quilt with a pattern out of this one. This is one of my favourite embroidery books. It's called Push Stitchery. It says 30 artists explore the boundaries of stitched art, and there's some really awesome concepts in there which I love. Up here in these tins, this is where I keep my ribbons, and here is some of my fabric. We've got it colour coded all the way down to dark blacks. Here is just a wide shot of my sewing desk. This desk originally came from Spotlight, where I used to work. In my department they were getting rid of some of these cutting tables, and I offered to take one. I was actually going to offer some money for it, but the store manager said just take it, and so I did. I love it. I've had it for about 3 or 4 years and it's perfect. On the side of my desk is where I keep all of my rulers. I hang them up by the ribbon, that's why you also see them in the videos with the ribbons on them. It just keeps them out of the way, and I've got them right next to my cutting mat so I can easily get what I need. Up above here I've got all of my tins and threads. In here is just odds and ends, needles, threads, and something else, but anyway. And of course my Buzz Lightyear that keeps watch when I'm sewing. All of my cool little sewing notions and threads, as well as my yellow thimbles up there in the back. Here next to my cutting station is the fabrics that I'll be using in my next project, which is actually my Sydney Quilt Show entry, so that's why that's all there. And behind are these drawers that I got from IKEA. Just got zippers, bits and bobs, so glitter and other crafty things in there. And then in this one I have a few more tins. This one has the pins that I use for when I'm binding my quilt, so I keep them in this really cute bell and boo tin. Very sweet. keep all of my rotary blades in this jar here. I've got my little one, my big one, and this one here is for paper. And next to it I've got a jar full of pencils, my Sharpies, and also my water-soluble pencils. Making our way along is this really cute bunny embroidery that I did last year. I had to frame it and I thought it looked really sweet there. Here is an old teacup that I used to have, but it's got a chip on it and it's sort of cracked, so I didn't really want to use it anymore. And that's where I keep all my fabric scissors and my craft scissors, which is these blue ones, my pinking shears, other pencils, rulers, paintbrushes, and any other sort of things. In this here, this is where all my cool accessories are. So I got sticky tape, an extra tape measure, calculator, sharpeners, rulers, glue stick, some jewelry pliers, and there's a big tin of pins, my basing pins, which I used to use all the time, and some spare blades for my rotary cutter. Back here is my overlocker right here in the corner. I do use that sometimes. Here is all my paperwork. It's all sort of patterns that I've saved up over the years, as well as some more rulers. This is my rotating cutting mat, as well as a few different size square rulers. And making our way over to my sewing machine, this is a Brother Innovus 200. It's a quilter's edition, and I won this in a competition that I entered over a year ago called How Does Your Garden Grow? I love this machine. Down underneath my sewing desk is a vast array of space, and this is where I keep pretty much all of my supplies. I've got 2 big tubs of fabric, so there's this one and there's actually another one behind it. Here I've got about half a dozen bolts of fabric. This container in the background is full of all of my embroidery patterns. The pink one on top is full of all of my embroidery threads. Next to it we've got lots of odd sods of wadding and pellin and hobby sew. This is my box of fabrics that I use for hexies. This is where I keep all my fabric scraps. It's quite huge. And these are all my unfinished projects in this basket here. This is the hole that is directly underneath my sewing machine. Hole. This is where I keep all of my sewing machine feet. This is what came with the sewing machine. This is my extra long measuring tape. My awesome clover seam ripper. I always have it on hand. A little brush to brush out my sewing machine. And these are the scissors that I use to snip the threads from when I'm sewing. Box of bobbins. Box of other threads. This is quite huge. And then right at the back there, this thing here, this is full of threads as well. So this is all to do with my sewing machine, and everything's on hand. In here is also my needles, other full bobbins that I'll use all the time, my walking foot, and just all the general feet for my sewing machine. Above my sewing table is this wall hanging. This is called I Heart Colour, and this is a wall hanging I made last year from a paper piece block that I made up myself. So it's called a wonky log cabin. And next to that wall hanging is an aluminium print that I did at TAFE a few years ago. It's actually the Sales of the Opera House, whether you can really get that or not. But the Opera House is one of my favourite buildings in the world, so I wanted to capture that in print. So that's hanging up there. Next to the window I have these frames hanging up. This first one is a frame that I brought from the Salvation Army for like $1, and it's really cool and antique. And inside I just put in a drill fabric of the Union Jack because I love Britain. And underneath is the embroidery that I did for my stop motion video. There is a link around it, so if you want to see that video, click that link and you can watch it come to life. Underneath is my very first black work embroidery. Here's a closer look of the black work embroidery. It's really sweet, and I've actually entered this into one of my local art shows this year. And underneath the black work I have my yellow sampler. This is an embroidery that I did using all different shades of yellow embroidery thread on a navy linen background. So next to that is my design wall. This is what I've got on there at the moment. This is the quilt that I am currently working on for the Sydney quilt show coming up this June. Next to this quilt, I've got the 2 blocks that I've used in my 2 past tutorials. So the top one is the rail fence block and the one underneath is the square in the square block. So there's links around those at the moment. Give them a click and it will take you to those tutorials. Underneath my design wall is all my crafty bits. So this is where I keep some of my fat flats, just here. My quilting spray and quilting starch because it's right near the iron, which is here. And this is just some of my craft stuff. So I've got all my craft glue, my hot glue gun and accessories. And in here I've got all my hexies. My hexie templates. Across from my design wall is my desk. So here, this is where I write my blogs, where I edit my videos and pretty much do lots of internet browsing. Above my desk I have this corkboard. This is my corkboard of inspiration. At the moment it's got my incompleted blocks that I talked about in my New Year's resolution video. There's a link around those so you can click on them if you want to watch that video. And this is what's underneath those blocks. This is my name badge from when I worked at Spotlight. I was there for over 5 years and this is the name badge that I used to wear. Down below here are some of the little ribbons that I have. This one, the little rosette, is what I received when I won for How Does Your Garden Grow competition. And this is just the ribbon that I received for the Sydney Quilt Show last year as I was an exhibitor. And then this is just a skull embroidery that I've made and I really loved it and I wanted to put it up. Here in the corner I've got my happy quilt hanging up. I love this quilt so much and I can't bring myself to fold it away, so I've got it hanging there. If you want to see the video of this one up close, there is a link that you can click right now around it to take you there. Underneath here is one of the quilts that I'm trying to make for my New Year's resolutions. This one is my rail fence quilt and it's sitting there in the corner, unloved, unmade up, but I will get there. And last of all, this is my sewing stool. This is just from IKEA and it's foldable, folds away really, really easily, just like so. So I hope you enjoyed that lovely glimpse into my lovely world here in my sewing room. This place is my heaven. It's my haven, my hub, my den. Everything happens in here and I love it. I do everything in here except pretty much sleep and eat. Oh no, I do eat. I eat in front of the computer. That's another point. If you are of the crafty, quilty nature, subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you on board. I will be doing lots more tutorials and sewing things along the way. And if you are into quilting, check out my blog. The link is here, 3and3quarters.wordpress.com, or if you missed that, it's down in the description box below. Down there is also all of the other places that I am at. Feel free to have a look. Thumbs up if you like this. Any encouragement is good encouragement. And of course, thanks for watching. I hope to see you sometime very, very soon. Bye!